Of the evidence given to them. This is not an NRP thing, and this is not a CCM thing. This is the law at work in our country.
Based on what the court has said, there were several areas in which procedure had not been followed by the registration officers that had come up for question on several occasions. What can you now say about how the registration officers function and how it might affect, as we have seen today, the constitutional right of people to be on that list?
All I would say is this. First of all, let me begin like this. That there might need to be a general overhaul or reform of the electoral process. That is the first thing. Secondly, in spite of what you just stated, we know for a fact that that list has been corrupted for several years. People have been put on that list who never even came home to register. People that were confirmed in places where they did not live. And this is what is now causing the confusion in the process. Not the procedures, etc., etc. The fact that some wrong things have been done in the past, and the chickens are coming home to roost as far as CCM is concerned.
On that same point, because I know the basis of putting the 5 names back on the list, as I said, is that the registration officer acted improperly. That was the basis of the case, basically. So, I mean, yeah, you can talk about the reform of the system, but that was done.
So how did she act improperly?
Well, that's the court found, because the people didn't receive the notice on time.
Okay, but
procedure was not followed.
So let's pause here.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Does the registration officer have control over the post office?
No, not the. They didn't.
The evidence shows that it got to the post office after the hearing.
Yeah, that's what they
so
said. Yeah,
the evidence.
Said
the evidence showed that the notice got to the post office after the hearing.
The day after the hearing.
It should have been sent by registered mail, and it was not done so too.
Yeah.
And they got the
okay, my experience with the post office, and we have been trying to grapple with it because we too have been victims of that situation. And
there's something to the post office on the 13th when it's for the 12th?
Listen to me. NRP has had problems with the post office in terms of letters going out late, in terms of certain stamps and so on those letters. Over the past months, we have had to move people from there because people have been not getting their mails on time. People have been getting their mails late.
I understand that, but when a hearing is on the 12th and the notice is sent to the post office on the 13th,
yeah, that's what happened.
Yes, if that is the case,
that was the case.
It is wrong. If that is the case, it is wrong. I cannot account for that because I am not part of the registration office. But from the point of view of the Nevis Reformation Party, we have tried our best to make sure objections got on time, because our people have come to us and complained bitterly that they have been struck off the list and they received the notice days or weeks later.
Oh, so your party has experienced that?
Mr. Parry,
yeah, we have experienced it. You see, too many of you are biased.
Mr. Parry,
too many of you are biased, and you listen to Win FM and you listen to CCM and you don't do the complaints of NRP. But let me tell you,
Mr. Parry, you have been on Win FM several times. Have you indicated the
I've said it, but I am not the voice. Mark Brantley is the voice.
Of the NRP?
No, of the media. I am not the voice.
You have been on Win FM.
I have been on Win FM. I have explained it.
Spoken about the
and I have explained about the list.
Have you explained that
about the list?
Your people have had that problem as well? I don't recall that.
You don't recall? But I don't care what you recall, you know, because you're not Win FM. You're only one person. So I don't care what you recall. What I am concerned about is what I said wherever I said it. And I'm saying that certain elements in Sinkits are confused, and you are going to pay for it. Take it from me. You are going to pay for it because this party, NRP, has suffered on the Labour. This NRP has suffered on the PAM. This party has suffered on everybody because we always find we have no friends. NRP has no friends. The people in Sinkits want to manipulate the politicians in Nevis and the people of Nevis, and NRP will not stand for it. Will not stand for it. And my message to Sinkits parties: fight your battles down there and leave us alone. And don't copy and cause confusion. And don't jump on the radio and get into things you don't understand. We have been victims. We have never got the support. In 2001, I'm telling you, the supervisor of elections had things written up where people came from abroad and were given receipts who never came and registered. We suffered that. We know a gentleman whose family is from Brickhill, who lived in Brickhill. He came from Canada to Nevis and voted in St. John's. We know that. So if you have that problem in St. Kitts, just know we have it over here. And don't come up here and think for one moment that NRP has anything to do with the electoral list or whether it has gone early or late. We don't. It has happened to us. In this election, it has happened to us. But we not like CCM. We don't break legs and ball. We don't break legs and ball. We use the law. We use the process of the law. And many people in St. Kitts especially seem to forget that we have been victims in the past. And we continue to be victims of a sloppy arrangement.
Mr. Parry, one last thing, well, from my point of view. 200, well, it's alleged that 200 and something, 200 of 44, well, minus interest, is 5%, were removed from the list. Do you have any evidence that any of your supporters were removed from the list?
I'm sure some of them have.
No, your thoughts as the leader of the country on people being taken off the list?
You know why?
No, I'm just asking.
But you know why I don't have a problem? I don't have a problem if they don't belong there.
Okay.
I don't have a problem if they don't belong there. And this is why the court must operate, why people should go to court, and why people should seek justice.
So why would our division not supposed to be on the list?
Because he's registered in the wrong constituency and people can object according to the law. But I'm not even talking about why divisions in St. Kitts are being opposed from being on the list. What, I can ask all kind of questions.
Well, I guess
I am just saying this, whether you're a Division, a Dominican, Barbadian, Jamaican, we all know the law, right? If you're supposed to be on the list, you should be on the list. If you're supposed to vote, you should be on the vote. Nobody should be disenfranchised. Nobody. But when people play the fool with the law, they suffer the consequences of the law. And that is the point I'm making.
Well, you see, and why I ask it, because now, when you talk about registration of voters, none of the parties can register people, but the registration process takes place at the electoral office.
Yeah.
What does that say to the electoral office? Because in all what has been happening since 2007 with the proper reform process, accusations have been flying left, right, and center among both parties.
And then make
what about the electoral office? Because all the process.
The electoral office is not the problem. The problem is the whole process. The whole process needs to be re-examined and to be changed. There are all kind of hiccups and problems that happen. I tell you, we suffer too. If we suffer and CCM suffer, what that tells you? There are flaws in the process. That there is nobody practicing any discrimination. I mean, I know that there has been discrimination before, but look at the discrimination. It is when the list is taken out of the electoral office, when people are given receipts who never came here and registered.
Yeah, but who giving them the receipts? That's what I'm saying. Who are giving the people the receipts?
By the supervisor of elections.
So the supervisor of elections is the problem?
No. The problem is the general process. The whole process has to be changed. The matter, there needs to be serious reform.
I take your point about serious reform.
There needs to be serious reform.
But you're saying that with serious reform having already been taken, we had
some reform was taken. But you need more reform, of course. Some reform, and all the political parties need to take part in the reform process, and the whole body of people in the country need to take part in the reform process.
So the electoral reform process fell short in some areas.
It did. No doubt about it.
And my final question, I don't want to keep you any longer. If your party, the NRP, should win on Monday, would you take it upon yourself to try and seek out justice or some sort of recourse for the 236, or look into the matter, or try and mobilize a reform process?
Many of those 240-something persons have not called on the list. What I will want to do is to make sure that the list is pure. That is what I would want. That the list is pure and that the list is not corrupted in any way. Let us not talk about 240-something who are being victimized. Some of them are NRP supporters, some of them are CCM supporters. I don't know who they are. But I know many of them have been registered in places where they have no call to be registered. So I'm not worried about that. I am worried about the purity of the list.
So you will seek to get that reform process
as moving, I have always done.
So we don't have that problem.
As I have always done. Okay. I have been victims of it.
Okay.
I have been a victim, and a serious victim of it too. Elections have been stolen in this country because of that list.
On a lighter note, how the campaign going?
Great. Great. And without the list. We don't need the list. The list have no importance to me.